This is a setup demonstration video for the GeekVape Aegis Hero Kit. Inside the box, in addition to the device itself, beneath the foam tray in which the device will be resting, you will find manufacturer warranty information, a user manual that comes in several different languages. English will be the first couple pages, and a box that will contain the spare parts and goodies that come with your kit, including 2 coils, one of each of the 2 varieties designed to run in this device, a micro USB charging cable, and a little coil tool, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. Taking a look at the device itself, when we look at the front face, this is the side where the screen display will be. You also have the fire button to heat the coil at the top, and the plus and minus buttons for adjusting your output down here. On this side, you have not anything of note, and on the reverse, however, you have your micro USB port underneath this dust plug. This device is designed to be shock resistant, dust resistant, and water resistant. So the micro USB port is underneath a silicone plug to prevent it from letting any sort of dirt or debris into the device. To be able to charge it, you'd simply grab hold of the little lip on the bottom, pull it aside, and that exposes your micro USB port. I would strongly recommend using 1 amp output or less for a charge rate with this device, as opposed to a fast charger you might have gotten with your cell phone. They're not really designed to take that fast of a charge, and the faster you charge the device, the faster it will stop working in the long run. On the top of the device, we have the pod itself. On the top of the pod, you have the mouthpiece, which is removable and replaceable. It does come with a spare mouthpiece that has a smaller diameter if you are uncomfortable with how wide the mouthpiece that's pre-installed is. And there's also the airflow control ring that you can spin to adjust the airflow on the device. You can restrict it or bring it wide open if you please. The only thing you'll have to remember is to not have it completely closed off when you're trying to use the device, because that means you won't get any vapor through it all. I personally prefer to run it with the airflow wide open because I prefer a nice cool vape, but some people want something more concentrated and a warmer feeling. When you need to fill your pod, on the other hand, you've got another little rubber stopper on the top here that you simply flip up and out and to the side, and that exposes this nice little oval-shaped fill port. When filling, you're going to want to take the nozzle of your bottle and make sure that it is pushed over to the side, like so that you have space for the air to escape. That can help prevent liquid backing up out the fill port when you're trying to fill it up. And then once you've filled it, you can swing that back around and press it into place. Any liquid that might have squished out as you put that back in place, you can just wipe it away. In order to install the coil or change the coil with this device, you'll have to remove the pod, which is connected magnetically. You'll simply grab hold of it and lift up. There's a magnet on the bottom of the pod and in the bottom of the device. You'll also see your contact pins here. Those are going to make connection with the coil so that it can be heated. There's no coil currently installed, so I'll demonstrate that process now. When you look at the bottom of the pod, you'll notice that there are these 2 little notches on the outside edge of where the coil goes. Taking a look at one of the coils themselves, you'll notice on the bottom there are 2 flat sides and 2 rounded sides. Also on the bottom will be printed the resistance of the coil and the recommended wattage range. This one is a 0.4 ohm coil rated between 25 and 33 watts. It is the higher output of the 2 coils that come with the kit. The other one is a 0.6 ohm coil rated for 15 to 25 watts. Depending on the nicotine strength you're using and the output you're looking for, you'll want to choose which coil accordingly. Most people using nic salt liquids will tend to prefer to start with the 0.6 ohm coil, but for standard nicotine liquids in a lower strength, like 6 milligram or so, you would probably want to start with the 0.4 ohm coil. To install, you simply take the top end and insert it into the coil section there. And then as you press it in, you want to make sure to line those flat sides of the coil up with the notches in the pod. And the other thing you want to be aware of is making sure that you insert it far enough that that bottom orange seal there goes completely down in, like so. That way you know it's fully installed, and the seals will help prevent any liquid from spilling out on the bottom of the device. And to reconnect, you simply line it up and drop it in place, and it will connect magnetically. Now, for the purposes of demonstrating the menus and the adjustment, I am going to remove the coil, and this is a good time to demonstrate how you would replace the coil when you need to. If you're unable to grab hold of it and simply pull it out, because they do not really leave a whole lot of room to grab hold of it, they do include a little coil tool that you can use. You'll want to line it up with the rounded sides, in this case, instead of the flat sides. And I like to stabilize the coil with my finger, and you simply just tug it right out. This way, it's very mess-free as well. You don't have to touch any of the parts of the coil that were submerged in the liquid. You just take it to the trash can, drop it on in, grab your new coil, install it, give it time to prime, and you're good to go. When installing a fresh coil that you haven't used before, after filling up the pod, you want to give it about 3 to 5 minutes to saturate before starting to use it. Subsequent fills on that same coil, you won't have to worry about waiting after you refill it, because the wicking material inside the coil will already have been saturated. Now, let's talk about the operation of the device itself. Go ahead and put the pod back into place. To turn the device on, you give it 5 quick clicks on the fire button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the brand Geek Vape will show up, and then you'll have some information displayed on the screen. The screen will time out after a few seconds of it not being used. There we go. And to get it to light back up, you just tap the fire button. Now, when I do so, this device is going to say no atomizer because I took the coil out so I don't accidentally fire it as I demonstrate these functions. So no atomizer. But that's okay because we don't need one right now. So on the screen, you'll find displayed in the top right-hand corner is the resistance of the installed coil. Right now it's going to read 0.00 because there's no coil installed. As well as on the top right, you'll find your remaining battery life indicator. And then beneath that, you'll find your puff counter, which for those of us who want to keep an eye on how much we're using our device, it's an interesting piece of information to have. And then at the bottom, you'll have your wattage. You can adjust that using the plus and minus buttons. This device gave me an error message when I pressed them because it's currently locked. You can lock the up and down buttons once you've found the setting you want to stick with, and you'd still be able to use the device, but you just wouldn't be able to accidentally change your wattage. To lock or unlock the wattage, or I'm sorry, the up and down buttons, you press and hold them both. See, it went from locked to unlocked. When it switches from one to the other, you can let go, and now we can adjust the wattage again. It will adjust in half-watt increments, up or down, and I generally recommend whenever you put a new coil in, starting at the low end of the recommended wattage range. It can help get you a couple extra days out of the coil by breaking it in gently. Over the course of a couple of pods worth of liquid running through, you can adjust the output up until you find the spot that works best for you for that coil. That's about everything you need to know for the initial setup of the Aegis Hero Kit. Happy vaping!